Hello, welcome to Tony's Bonsai. I've got a bucket full of hawthorn. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with them, but I fancy like getting creative. If you saw my recent root over landscape, these were the other hawthorns that I collected that I didn't use. So I'm going to start off just planting up a couple of them that I think are really interesting just in their own right. Gloves on, because these are pretty savage. Now where is it? Oh, first tree I found. I need to just plant this up on its own because it's got such an amazing root base. I'm going to call this one the Cobra because it's like a coiled snake. But I don't want any roots coming from this section of the tree. I want all this eventually just to be exposed above the soil. And so if I can remove all these little sort of feeder roots like this. Got a root coming up there. No, that's got to go. Bit of a root wrapping around there. That can go. Whoa, how weird. I'm going to give this its own pot and get these roots in here like this. So I'm not going to cut any roots off. I can cut them off at a later date. I want this to just grow quite strongly at first. So I'll just get that in some soil. So I'll just flatten these roots out. Run them around. Then just pile some soil on top. So I went with a couple of tie-down wires and I used some plastic rubber sheathing just to protect the roots, because you never know whether these will eventually end up becoming part of the display. I doubt it, but better to be safe than sorry, as they say. Try and tell me that is not one of the craziest root bases you've ever seen. And this tree has never been near a pot. And I don't think the upper section is too bad either. It's quite interesting. So definitely some potential there. And next up we've got this, which was my favourite one of all the 15. It's got some really nice movement, sort of spiralling through the tree. It's got lots of nice growth. It's got a bit of a, it's got another crazy root base. I don't know why they've all grown like this. I can't really use it on this though, because there's some massive inverse, there would be huge inverse taper here as it thickens out because there's a root at the back. So that will be the root, the base of the tree there. And I think this just wants to go into a pot. I'll just let this grow for a year, and this could potentially be a candidate for a very low air layer or even a ground layer to try and develop a new root system. I think it could be worth it for this tree. Right, let's do something a bit different. I'm thinking using this trough to put together a project I've wanted to do for a long time, and it's a hawthorn hedge. In the UK, hawthorn is a very popular hedging material. Farmers like it because it's dense and thick. You can cut it back, and you can also lay it, so you can sort of chop into it with an axe, fold the trunks down, and they carry on growing and stuff. So it's great for hedging, and they're everywhere. And I saw one, I can't remember when, and it was a miniature version of a hedge, and it looked fantastic, and I thought I'd like to do that. So using some of these sort of awkward trees, I think they could be perfect. The first job then is to find out if I've actually got any decent material to work with. You know, whether these are going to work in a hedge. That's actually, of all of them, that's probably the weakest tree. It's not really got any buds on it. I think it'll survive, but it doesn't look good. So I'll pass on that one first of all. And then we've got this. So That's ideal. That works really well. So with the hedge at this height, what I'll do over a period, I'll start growing all the branches lower down by cutting the top off. So that's good. And you can really make this hedge using anything. I mean, flipping it, look at those roots on that. What? But the actual tree is a good one. It's got some nice taper, it's got quite interesting movement, and you can see with these all close together like this, they really mash up and create quite a good hedge. So I think this is looking good. Again, that's another good one. So that's 3 good ones. Oh, this one I'm not using. This is my like windswept style one. That's for I want to grow that in its own right. That's a good one. So we've got 4. 5, yep. 6, yep. And 7. Yeah, not bad, not bad, not bad at all. Right, let's put some soil in this trough and start pruning the roots and putting it together. I didn't mention another thing that I do want to do is I want to put a small gate in the middle. So I think I'll have three trees on one side, a small gate, and then 4 trees on the other side. So I'm deliberately going to leave a gap in the middle. We'll get some soil in here then. Like that. And I'll work through these one at a time, just making the roots a bit more manageable like that. That's fine for this tree there. And which way could that go? I'm not going to prune any of the tops off yet, or am I? Maybe I will. No. So I'll just put that in position. Add a bit of bonsai soil just to sort of hold it in its place there. And move on to the next one. This is the one with the insane root base. You look at those roots, it doesn't need, you can't go into the pot with any of these on it. So I'll just get rid of most of them. That's quite a nice chunky one, that. And initially I think I'll just sort of line them up, and once they're all lined up I'll rearrange them and move them about as I think they kind of need it. So it's quite a simple procedure, this pruning. Anything too crazy can just be removed. So that's the root base there. And that'll be fine. I can just go in there. Look at that. Look at that root. I mean, that does make me think perhaps I could actually grow that like that. But this is quite a knuckle. It's quite a sort of swirling knuckle, and it doubles back. I know there's part of me thinks I should, but then I think I'd rather grow this in this hedge. The only problem then is getting this into this composition. I think that has to come off like that, and that'll still be fine, that. That'll put roots out. Whew. Look at that root base, it's a bit of a stinker. That's not bad. I can just go in there, no problem. And this is a good way to use up material that perhaps wouldn't normally make great trees because of these freaky roots. But by putting them all together, I think they'll work. Oh, and the last one. Oh, look at that root base. That slipped through the net for my root over rock. Part of me is thinking maybe I should keep this in case one of the trees in my root over rock doesn't make it, and I could replace it with this. That's what I'm going to do. So I'll just trim a bit off, and then this will go in its own separate pot, and I'll replace it with this one that I wasn't going to add because it doesn't look so healthy, but it is alive. There are buds. So if I do the scratch test on it, yeah, it's green underneath, so that'll be okay. I just won't cut any roots off this one. So now I've got all my trees, it's just a question of working out a way where they'll fit together. I'm not sure that gate in the middle is going to work with these because I don't think the perspective will be quite right. But maybe it would, I don't know. Let's have a look and see. I definitely want this freaky one here kind of hidden in the middle somewhere. I want that kind of buried out of the way. In terms of composition, I've not spent too long on this because I don't know which ones are going to make it. There are a couple, one ill one where I've removed most of the roots, so they're by no means certainties. But I've kind of got them in a position that I think roughly works. Whether I'll end up doing that, putting a gate in them, or maybe some kind of not so much a farm gate, but maybe like even a garden gate type thing might work here. I mean, I'm tempted to just pull it across and say there'll be no gate and just grow it as a hedge, a little hawthorn hedge. I do like the idea of that. So I'm still toying with this as I'm putting the soil in. I'm thinking, should I just make it a hedge? And it'd be kind of almost a bit surreal, wouldn't it? Just a hedge like that in a pot. I'm torn. Or do I leave that gap? I'm not leaving the gap. I like the idea of it just being a hedge. I think that's kind of weird, but I like that. I like that kind of weirdness of it. These two are slightly closer together, that's fine. You don't want them evenly spaced, because you know, when you see these hedges, they're not evenly spaced at all. They're quite almost random in many ways. And I'll just spend a bit of time now just working the soil into these roots. Some of them did have some quite good root systems, so I want to make sure there's no air gaps. That's quite a fun project. I'm really happy with how it's turned out as well. I look forward to pruning these, working on them and starting to develop that sort of hedge-like shape to it. That's going to be good. I've just been having a good look at the root base for this cascading tree, and we've got this one really thick root that comes out, loops around and goes down into the pot. And then opposite that, we do have some quite nice roots coming out, quite a nice nebari. So one option is to just remove that thick root. However, it really is a thick one. And I'm thinking perhaps I should grow this in this angle as like a cascade and use these roots here for display on the top as the nebari. In which case I don't need to cut the big one off. I've just got one lumpy section there. That does need to come off. So that can go, this piece. And now, if I plant this at this angle, I've got quite a nice set of roots coming out. So I've got quite a tall pot. As I say, this curling root can just go downwards. I will cut it off a bit because it is a bit ridiculously long. So I'll take some of it off. And then in fact quite a lot of that can come off down there. There wasn't that many roots on it. These can all go down into this pot. I like the idea of having these roots here on display. I like the way this curves up here and across, and if I have it like that, and if I have it like that, a bit more vertical, yeah, it's not bad, it's not bad, but I think I prefer it as a full cascade like that. That's quite nice. I'm happy with that, and it'll be fun developing this because it's got so much great branching. I'll be able to do good things with that, I think, this year. That was great fun. All my hawthorns are dealt with. If you want to keep track of these trees, I'll be updating in the spring and the summer, and obviously working on that hedge, beginning to refine the shape and stuff. As always, thanks for joining me. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.